There's a quiet frustration a lot of capable people carry. And it sounds like this: I should have had all this figured out. I'm smart. I can handle hard things. And yet, clarity just doesn't come. So if that is you, this video isn't going to push you to get the clarity or even motivate you. It is simply going to explain why it feels so hard, especially for people who are thoughtful, capable, and used to figuring things out on their own. So most people who struggle with clarity don't look like they're lost from the outside. They're highly functioning individuals, they're responsible, and they usually feel like they've built lives that actually work. Internally, there's this low-grade tension that's happening inside them. It's a feeling that something isn't just quite aligned and that a decision needs to be made. And that next step exists, but just stays out of reach. And because they're so used to solving problems, they assume everything they have addressed and solved problems for in the past will work. So they think harder, they analyze more, they gather more information, and they just keep doing. They replay conversations over and over in their head. They compare options. They imagine a future outcomes. They wonder, what if I choose wrong? Will I regret this? What if this closes one door that I just can't reopen? And instead of clarity, the thinking just creates more noise in their head, puts in more options, more angles, and more reason to pause. And eventually, they start wondering if the problem is just a lack of confidence, or is it discipline, or is it courage? But usually, I have to tell you, it's none of those. Here is the part that most people don't realize. Clarity isn't an intellectual process, it's an emotional process. And when decisions matter, especially when it affects your identity, your security, about your relationships, or just how you see yourself, your brain doesn't treat it like a puzzle. It just treats it as a threat. Not because you're weak, but because your brain's job is to protect you. So instead of helping you choose, it starts to scan risk. The higher that's at stake, the louder the scan becomes. So this is why smart, capable people often struggle with clarity. They can see things at every angle and they can imagine every outcome. And they can even argue every side convincingly. So their mind is excellent at complexity. But you have to know that clarity requires something totally different. It requires perspective. And perspective is almost impossible to generate from inside that same loop that you're trying to escape. So your mind just keeps circling, and not because you're broken, but because it's trying to keep you safe. So over time, this creates a quiet exhaustion, not from doing too much, but the kind from carrying uncertainty alone. You might start postponing decisions or avoiding certain topics, and even telling yourself that you'll come back to this when things slow down. But underneath all of that, there's that often subtle sense of shame. And it's the belief that you should be doing this better by now. If this is something you recognize, I want you to hear this so clearly. Struggling with clarity does not mean that something is wrong with you. Not at all. It simply means that a decision matters. See, clarity isn't about trying harder at all. It's about seeing things differently, and seeing things differently usually doesn't happen with isolation. Humans aren't designed to generate perspectives alone when something touches who they are and who they're becoming. This is where most people get stuck longer than they need to. And it's not because a lack of answers, but because they're trying to reach clarity in a way that keeps them looping back to doubt. In the next video, we're going to be talking about what actually helps people move out of this loop. And to know it's not motivation, it's not pressure, and it's not pushing yourself to do something faster. It's something far more simpler, far more supportive than you would expect. But for now, just notice this. If clarity has been hard for you, it is not a personal failure. It's human. You're not behind, nor are you broken, and you're not missing something that everybody else has. You're standing at a moment where perspective matters more than effort. And that is exactly where the clarity begins.